It's the VancouverEntrepreneur.ca podcast.
Hello, this is Robert Smigel coming to you today with a VancouverEntrepreneur.ca, where we talk to the entrepreneurs who are making it happen here in British Columbia. Today, we're with Ilya Brotzky, the CEO and founder of VanHack. After graduating from Cornell University with a degree in applied economics and management, Ilya spent 4 years working in the Brazilian startup scene, where he joined the country's most successful early stage accelerator. It was there he discovered a large community of talented software engineers who were interested in relocating to Canada, but didn't always have the soft skills needed to work abroad. Upon moving back to Vancouver, he founded VanHack as a way of empowering people who wanted to have more out of life and live in Canada. VanHack now has over 170,000 members from 73 countries and has helped over 200 companies hire and relocate 446 developers across Canada and Europe. Ilya is fluent in Russian, Portuguese, and English. Well, Ilya, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time today to be here for all our listeners.
My pleasure, Robert. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm really excited to share our story, and I'm excited to chat with you today. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I want you to tell us about VanHack, and why did you select Vancouver, Canada as your ideal location for the company?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny when we started. Everyone always asks about the name. You know, why is it VanHack? What does that mean? Is it the city of Vancouver? Is it an actual van? When I first had the idea, it was just kind of a small thing. I didn't think it would be a business, really. I thought it would just be a project to help a few of my friends or a few people that I kind of knew on Facebook who wanted to relocate, like you mentioned in the intro. And I thought it would just be for one city, for Vancouver. But it's since then, like as you also said, blossomed into across Canada, across Europe. We're also looking at other places in the world. So it's kind of grown from there. But the roots are still very much in Vancouver. The Vancouver ecosystem is very strong. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of demand there for tech talent, and it's also one of the best places in the world to live. So a lot of people want to relocate there. It's definitely a great place with a lot of support from the community.
Okay, what is the advantage of hiring internationally, and why is it working so well for Canada?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. I guess the biggest advantage is that you always have that. Locally, there's always a kind of a challenge, right, for tech talent, especially at senior level. There's a lot of really good junior developers being created by the coding boot camps and things like that, people learning on their own. But there's not that many people who learned how to code 10 years ago, have been working professionally for 10, 15 years in Canada, just because of our population, really. And so combine that with the fact that a lot of our talent is going down south, we're going to have to find another way to replenish that. And that's where VanHack comes in. We help you find the best developers from around the world that want to move to your city, and usually that allows you to find really, really great candidates who are in places you just would never have thought of, in places like Cuba or Venezuela or Nigeria, where you just don't think good software developers are there, but that they actually are. And but by allowing them to relocate to your city, you can kind of entice them to join your team for faster than if you were to look for a local candidate. We had a few companies that couldn't find candidates for 6 months or more, and we helped them find candidates in a few days or a few weeks. And with Canada right now, what's so special is that there's this new global talent stream visa that is it's coming up to 1 year that's been around, and basically it allows fast track of work permits for technical talent. So if you're a developer, get a job, you can get a visa in about a month, sometimes a little bit more depending on some factors, but it's pretty quick. And essentially, you can start remote, so you can kind of ramp up that way and kind of hit the ground running when you join the team in person. So that allows companies to really tap into the global talent pool and be able to be more competitive and grow faster.
Okay, I want you to give us some success cases and what made them successful. What were the circumstances that you think made them work so well?
Yeah, good question. Probably our biggest success case is a company called Skip the Dishes. They're not in Vancouver, they're in Winnipeg, but they've hired over 90 software engineers from us. So they just were going through some hyper growth with massive scale after they were bought by Just Eat in 2016, and really starting to just go all across the country. I'm sure you've seen the stickers everywhere in the restaurants. Their problem was that they were scaling so fast that their infrastructure wasn't able to handle it sometimes. And if they crash, like if their system goes down, even for a half an hour to an hour, that kind of backs everything up, and it really leads to hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of lost revenue. So they really needed people to help with that, or technical talent to help with that. And a place like Winnipeg, it's even harder than Vancouver to hire there. So we were able to bring in, quite a bit of senior developers, DevOps engineers, people who have that experience of scaling and help them solve that problem. So that's probably our biggest success case. And we've had quite a few others. Thinkific is another company that's local in Vancouver that's hired 4 engineers from us. Kind of one of our first success cases. They hired 4 senior Ruby developers from us in about 6 months, I think. Those were kind of core team members now who are leading teams, being able to help grow the platform now. So that's a good one. And then I guess another one, we were just chatting before this. It's a company in Malta, of all places. Malta, a small island, in the Mediterranean, not too many people there, but a large tech scene actually. And there's a company that hired 10 software engineers from us in about 3 months. So we're really seeing that if companies need to scale fast and they don't need just one person, they need multiple people or even more than 10, we can really fit that because of all the talent that we have in our community.
Okay, now you've already touched on the global talent stream, but I want you to talk a little bit more about that. Does VanHack handle the immigration process, and what does that look like for people wanting to come here to Vancouver or even Canada?
Yeah, definitely. We handle so part of the way we work is a recruiting model. So it's a one-time fee for hire, and embedded within that fee is our immigration services. So we actually have an in-house immigration person, immigration consultant who helps with every case, and then we also have a partnership with Ernst & Young to make sure that we get all the best advice that we can and kind of guide the company through the process. And so we go through everything, and it can be a little bit scary. Companies, every time they think immigration, visas, paperwork, foreigners, oh my God, there's a lot of maybe even unconscious bias that exists, and we really work on removing that. And we've show all the things you have to do. So basically, in a nutshell, the only thing you really have to do is create something called a labor market benefit plan, which is a fancy government term for 3 items, such as hosting lunch and learns, hosting meetups in your office, going to universities and giving talks, hiring co-op students, things that will benefit the Canadian labor market, right? Just three things you have to choose from a list that the government provides, and you have to do them consistently for the 2-year period that the work visa is valid for. So the candidate gets a 2-year closed work permit. So that's really it. It's pretty simple, and a lot of times companies are already doing things like that. And who wouldn't want to contribute and give back to the Canadian labor market? It's a pretty good thing to do. So we help companies find things that they're already doing, or things that are kind of not super difficult to do, that they can kind of add on to their daily or to their even monthly activities in the office, to be able to benefit what the labor market. And that's just the way of you bring in the international talent. People are always saying, oh no, the immigrants are stealing our jobs. Well, with this program, they actually immigrants are helping contribute and train. I was actually in Waterloo for a conference last week, and it was really cool to meet one of our customers. It's a company called Skywatch, is a kind of a startup out of Communitech there. And it was really cool. There was actually literally one of our members who was a senior Python engineer was training another junior developer at the whiteboard. So they're having one of those whiteboard sessions where they're going through and talking about something I couldn't understand, very technical, messaging queue or something like this. And that was really cool to see. It was like a literal, actual example of candidates helping, or our I guess employees in this case, our members helping their Canadian counterparts. So that's really what you have to do in the labor market benefit plan, and then you can hire candidates, and there's no limit to the amount of candidates you can hire. You have to do more benefits in order to hire more candidates, but it's always negotiated with the government, and they're pretty proactive about this in terms of helping you actually get this done. So the government works with you on this. They call you. They're actually holding your hand and making sure that you're successful. So yeah, it's really great and really nice to see Canada doing that and kind of helping us become a more innovative economy versus other countries around the world.
Great. Okay, now that we're on the subject of hiring internationally, when you travel to places like Brazil and go to these conferences, what are the skill sets companies are looking for technically, and the soft skills like English, ability to work internationally, etc.? What are the companies looking for?
Yeah, most of the thing they're looking for is leadership. So people who can really, maybe not from day one, but grow into a leadership role. We had a company called Law 47 in Vancouver that hired a senior dev from us, a senior Ruby developer, and their CTO got sick and had to take some med leave, and now that developer is now the team lead in the meantime. So things like that are really needed by companies. They need that person to bring in that knowledge and kind of be the scrum master and bring things forward and get things done. That's probably the biggest soft skill. In terms of technical skills, there's a whole range of skills that are in demand right now, but probably the hottest language right now is React. As anyone who's familiar with the tech scene probably knows that React is just going crazy. How strong that is the kind of go-to JavaScript library versus other ones. But other kind of tech skills like Python, Ruby on Rails, artificial intelligence, these kind of more difficult skills to fill, especially in the senior roles. That's really where we can come in and help out.
Okay, what about the companies that are searching for talent internationally? What's the process that VanHack undertakes to make it happen? Can you just briefly kind of describe, right from kind of the start when someone contacts you, we're looking for this person, just briefly walk us through that process?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. We just get as much details as possible as we can from the company. A lot of times there's things that they don't put in the job description that would be really good and to have, or that they're really looking for, but they just either didn't write it down or they wrote it down, but we didn't know that was like the most important thing. So we just really try and get that briefing, the onboarding call that we do with companies, and get as much information as possible there. From there, we search our talent pool, and that's kind of the biggest difference between us and everyone else. We already kind of have talent ready, whereas maybe other platforms have to go and hunt for candidates or search, or kind of be a little bit more outbound, where we're a little bit more, I guess the talent comes to us because of our education training. And so we post the job, we get candidates. For example, yesterday we had a Microsoft DBA role for a company in Toronto. We were able to get 2 candidates to them on the same day. And so that's kind of how the process is. We send over the candidates, and then once we get feedback, we book the interviews, or of course go back and try and improve the search. So yeah, that's how it works. We make sure that it's the right person and try and be as fast as possible, because when the company comes to us, it's usually they need somebody yesterday. So
you got to turn this around pretty quick, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Our fastest hire was 24 hours, which was pretty cool for a senior Ruby and React developer out of Toronto. So it's something that we're kind of specialized at is fast quality.
Excellent.
Talent.
Okay. Can you tell me about VanHack Premium, and how do members get jobs faster and get the much needed peace of mind needed to work abroad?
Yeah, so actually VanHack Premium is how we started. So VanHack started as an English school to teach developers the soft skills that they need to be able to relocate. And I actually didn't know anything about recruiting when I started the company, or even started the project, I should say. I thought it would just be, a kind of a membership site where we help a few people learn English and they kind of can get the soft skills that they need. And that's what VanHack Premium is. We have an online English school where they take courses with Canadian professors who are focused 100% on tech interviews, helping them understand how to do the job interview process. Usually they're good at coding, they're good at reading, writing, listening, but speaking is a big challenge, especially if you're English is your first language, and if you're a developer, more often than not you might be a little bit introverted. So we help them get that confidence and understanding how to do that international interview online. A lot of times that's their biggest challenge, and so we have a very, very reasonably priced. We're actually going to be lowering the price even more. A program for developers to learn English and get all those skills that they need. And we also have kind of less English help for people for free, just for because we want to help as many people as possible. But it's something that we're seeing as kind of a nice compliment, because this is usually their biggest challenge, and what it allows us to do is kind of unlock this person in a way where before maybe they just had no success, and then they take a couple months of our course, and all of a sudden they're now much more likely to get hired. And so it's kind of good for them, good for us, good for the company.
Okay. Now, how are our local companies here in Vancouver and BC and even Canada benefiting from talent coming from abroad? And what areas and skill sets or talents are finding the most success here in Vancouver and Canada?
Yeah, so we've brought over $8 million in annual salary to Canada in the last 6 months. So local businesses are definitely benefiting from having that salary being paid to Canadians now, instead of maybe that candidate going to I don't know, Australia or something else. And so that money's staying in our economy. Those jobs are being filled by international talent, but then soon they'll become Canadian, right? They're buying groceries in Canada, they're going to movie theaters in Canada, they're renting apartments in Canada. So local businesses and local economies are definitely getting a lot of benefit from having these talented folks in town. And then the kind of candidates that are being successful are really those that are I guess the senior technical talent, right? Like the people who are 5-10 years experience. They often have kind of young families. So for them, it's really about quality of life. So they get to live in a great country, in a great city like Vancouver, where they can have their kids take the bus to school, or they can just generally feel that peace of mind of living in an awesome place. It's kind of a benefit for everybody, right? The candidate's happy, they got a great place to live, and they get a great job. And then the company has got a great employee, hardworking, very loyal person that's kind of joined their team. And then the local community is benefiting a lot because you have all these great people that are now
spending money,
contributing.
Spending money.
Yeah, exactly, and paying taxes, right? So so like if jobs aren't filled, then the economy's not growing because you can't build products, ship them, and you get more revenue for from that. And then these people are exactly like you said, they're just very simple spending money.
Obviously. Cool. Okay, can you tell our listeners more about the recruiting fair going on in Sao Paulo on June 23rd and 24th, and how can companies get involved?
Yeah, definitely. So right now we found that we've kind of one of our customers told us, what could we do to take things to the next level, and we had this idea of going down to Brazil and doing an in-person recruiting fair in March. We had the idea in January, February, and then we decided to do it in March this year. And so we did our first event in the middle of March, and we got 77 hires in 48 hours, so 77 hires over the weekend. And that was just, I think, a record. I don't know. Maybe Amazon's done more hires in a weekend before, but I don't know any other local Canadian company that's done that. And so we realized that there's this magic that happens where if you meet a person face to face in person, and have that conversation, that you just can tell right away or tell faster if you want to work with them. And so the quality of the match is better, and the quantity can be higher as well because you can do a lot of interviews in a short amount of time. So we decided to do it again, and this time we're actually bringing down 3 companies. In this case, all the companies are from the prairies. So we're actually also, along with the companies, we're actually also bringing down representatives from Innovation Saskatchewan and ICTAM, which is a government program in Manitoba. And also we're bringing down representatives from the government of Manitoba and Saskatchewan. So it's going to be a pretty exciting weekend here in 2 weeks. And there's not really a way for you to participate right now. So if you're listening to this, it's definitely is too late to participate. But we will have another event in the fall, and we're still trying to figure out when exactly. Probably October. And we'll have a kind of a bigger event that's national or maybe even international. We have companies from all over Canada or all over the world coming down to either Sao Paulo or somewhere else, and it's something we're seeing as kind of a product that we want to do in many different places. So go to other countries other than Brazil and bring companies from all over the world, and just because this is really the best way, I would say the most efficient way, especially if you're doing bulk hiring, if you're looking to hire 5-10 people, that you can kind of get that done in 5 days or 3 days, including travel, etc. That's much more efficient than spending months and months searching online and having these interviews. Get to meet the people, get to talk to them, get to see how they work, and make that decision much faster with much more confidence. So we're really excited about the event coming up, and then seeing how this rolls out as part of the evolution of VanHack.
So we'll probably see a lot more of these conferences coming up, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. We're thinking of just having this as maybe like once a quarter kind of thing, and we choose different locations around the world. We're thinking of potentially calling them either VanHack missions or VanHack vacations, trying to put a different spin on it. Like either a recruiting trip, a recruiting mission, or a nice kind of time to go to an exotic country and meet some great devs. But the point is that you can. It's just so hard to find that senior talent, and you can never really know until you actually meet the person in face to face and spend some time working with them. And this is all about reducing that risk and getting those people in front of you as a hiring manager, and getting you to understand whether it's the right fit or not. And it was really successful the first time around. We're excited for the second one. Looks like it's going to be equally successful, if not more. And then we'll do another one in the fall. So if you are interested in learning more about that, then please get in touch. Because we're always looking for more companies to come down with us, and we think it's a much more efficient way than the current model.
Great. Okay, Ilya, we're going to wrap things up here. How can our listeners get hold of you? And is there anything you'd like to add before you leave us today?
Yeah, I guess easy to get a hold of me, Ilya, Ilya at vanhack.com. It's probably the fastest way to get a hold of me. Or you can also sign up to VanHack for free. Our talent pool is available for you to search for free. You can just go to vanhack.com and click I want to hire. It takes you to the page right there where you can query our talent pool so you can see how many candidates we have with what the different skills. It gives you an idea of the type of talent that we have available. I guess the last thing I'll say is just, feel free to reach out. We're always open. We're kind of this interesting phase in the company where we're now not really a startup anymore. We've been around for 3 years. We're kind of more of a scale up, very much startup, I guess, mentality where it's pretty small, still, and we're still kind of very accessible and want to be in touch with our customers as much as possible. So feel free to reach out. And if on the other side, maybe you're an entrepreneur or you're trying to get things off the ground, I'm also happy to help and give back and mentor anyone who's looking for help on that side of things too.
Awesome. Great. Okay, Ilya, thanks for coming on the show today. I've learned a lot about you and VanHack, and I'm sure our listeners have as well. Great. Okay, Ilya.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. Cheers.
Okay, great. We'll see you next time. Hey there, thanks for taking the time to listen to the VancouverEntrepreneur.ca podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show today. Make sure you sign up for our newsletters and write a review for us on iTunes, and then connect with us on Twitter at Vancity Podcast and like us on Facebook. And you'll get all the latest news, including the BC Weekly Business Report, where you can find out more about what's going on in this fabulous province of ours. See you next time.